Bella always had some kind of work emergency during our dinners, and she'd leave before we were finished. I never stopped her. I just calmly ate the rest of my food. Later that night, I was scrolling through my feed, and I saw a picture posted by her old friend, Charlie. It was Bella, sleeves rolled up, setting dishes on a table. The caption said, "Poor Charlie got hit with a bad stomach bug. Luckily, Bella was free to cook. You're always there when I need you. You're the best." I didn't call her to argue, like I might have done before. After that, I stopped objecting when she left to go help Charlie. I'd just softly say, "It's okay." Another time, Charlie put up a picture of them playing some game with a snack stick between their mouths. I didn't react at all. That's when she started to get nervous. Her eyes were red, she looked worried and hurt. "Why aren't you mad?" she asked. When Bella got the call that day, she'd barely touched her food. "Something came up at work," she explained. "I have to go handle it." "Okay, go ahead," I said. I cut off a piece of my meal and ate it, enjoying the flavor. Bella seemed surprised that I wasn't upset. She frowned slightly. "I'll get you something nice when I get back," she promised. And then she rushed out. I peacefully finished my dinner. I felt a little sad, though. I hadn't expected to spend this special day, our anniversary, like this. When I got home, I came across a post from Charlie. The photo showed Bella with her sleeves pushed up, putting plates on the table. The caption read, "Sudden stomach problems, poor me. Bella was kind enough to cook for me. Whenever I need you, you're always there. That's my confidence." I just switched off my phone and went to sleep. Sometime in the middle of the night, I vaguely heard the door open and close, confirming it was Bella, and then I went back to dreaming. Before I completely drifted off, it felt like someone was standing by the bed, just watching me, for a little while. The next morning I got up, got ready, and made some breakfast. I put it on the table. Bella came into the room. She looked at the simple breakfast I'd made, paused, and then asked, "Didn't you make anything for me?" She wasn't a fan of toast and eggs, and normally I made us both something more traditional. "Oh, I forgot. You can order something or grab something on your way," I said. I ate quickly and got ready to go. When I looked up, I saw she looked upset. "I know you're mad I lied yesterday, but you've been so hard to deal with before, I was nervous." She started. "I'm not mad," I replied. "Charlie's stomach was really bothering him yesterday, and he lives alone, so I had to help." She explained. "I'm really not mad," I repeated. "Please don't cause a scene. I've told you before, I only see Charlie as a friend. Why can't you get that?" she insisted. "I'm really not mad, okay?" I said, my voice a little louder. But when I saw how shocked she looked, I softened my tone. "I get it, but I have to go to work now. We can talk more about it later when I get back." And with that, I left, not having the time to deal with Bella's feelings right then. At work, my manager, Sarah, called me into her office. She wanted to try, one more time, to convince me to consider the job overseas. "Sam," she said, "this is a fantastic opportunity. It's a safe place, a good environment. Please, think about it again." She'd tried before, talking about the pay and how it would help my career, but I'd always hesitated, thinking about Bella and me. I just couldn't decide. But now, I looked up and saw the slightly disappointed look on Sarah's face. "I've thought it over, Sarah," I said. "I'll go." She was clearly happy, and knowing I hadn't let her down made me feel better. After work, I grabbed some food on my own. When I got back, I was surprised to see Bella was already home. That was unusual. "You're late," she said calmly, handing me a box. "Anniversary present." I blinked, then took the box, feeling a little guilty. "Thank you," I said. "I forgot to get you anything. Can I make it up to you?" Her expression changed slightly. "Sam, just listen to me," she said. "I've told you so many times. Charlie and I have known each other since we were kids. It wasn't easy for him to move here, and I promised his family I'd look out for him. I could tell she was getting upset, but I still didn't understand. Don't get upset, I said. I understand. Just say what you want to say. Don't act like this, she snapped, getting angrier. I've told you over and over Charlie and I are just like siblings. Why can't you believe me? Think about it. If I really wanted to be with him, why would I be with you? I tried to calm her down. Relax, I'm not angry. I really do believe you and Charlie are just close friends, like family. You... She held back a frustrated breath. After a few moments of taking deep breaths, she said, I'm hungry. Sorry, I said. I already ate. You can order something or make something. There's food in the fridge. The next sound I heard was her slamming a door. Just as I was about to go to sleep, Bella came back. She walked in and looked at me intently. It's raining, she said. Okay, well, maybe you should dry off or take a shower, I suggested. She was wet, but I didn't get why she was telling me this. She looked at me, confused. I didn't have an umbrella. I've been outside for 5 hours. It's raining. Aren't you worried? She asked. You weren't like this before. When we argued, you'd call me or ask my friends where I was after I left. At the very least, you'd keep the lights on and wait for me to come back, she continued. But today I was out for hours, and you didn't even call once. I spoke gently. I didn't call because you're a grown-up now, and you can take care of yourself, and I didn't want to bother your friends by asking where you were. Bella's expression changed. She must have remembered something she had said to me before. Are you finished? I'm an adult, and I know what I'm doing. Why do you have to pressure me like this? And why did you bother my friends? Do you know how they made fun of me for it? Back then, when I had spent hours frantically trying to find her, and finally learned where she was, I was relieved, only to be met with her anger instead of thanks. But I didn't want to bring up old fights. I'd been busy with work, getting ready for the overseas job, and honestly, I was a little tired. Okay, I said. You should go take a shower so you don't get sick. I turned and went into the bedroom. Thinking about all the work I had to finish up before I left, it took me a while to fall asleep. In that half-asleep state, I felt someone touch my face. Then I heard a sigh, and the bed shifted beside me. Bella seemed really upset. She was in and out of the house, avoiding me, and not sending me any messages. I actually found it quite peaceful, and wasn't going to make things worse for myself, but after 5 days of this, she actually messaged me first. I'll make dinner tonight. Come back and eat, the message said. Honestly, I was surprised, because I was always the one cooking. I had even complained about how tiring it was, asking her to cook for once. She had just held me and said, my almost non-existent cooking skills might send you to the hospital, and besides, I just want to eat the meals you cook for me. At the time, I was so in love that I didn't think about the contradiction between her words and what she actually did. To make dishes that she liked, I had worked hard, following recipes after work, getting cuts and burns along the way. It wasn't until Charlie told me that Bella could actually cook that I realized I had been living in a sweet dream. After a huge fight with Bella, her response had been as calm as usual. Charlie doesn't know how to cook, and he's picky. I couldn't let him keep ordering takeout. He's not like you who can eat anything. I'm just taking care of a friend. You're an adult now. Stop expecting others to cook for you all the time. If you think it's such a burden to cook for me, then don't. I don't have to eat the meals you make. After that, I guess I still forgave her, after her not-so-sincere apology. Tears in love are just wasted emotion, I guess. But I still replied to her, okay, we were about to break up anyway. If possible, let's end things nicely. When I opened the door, I heard Bella call from the kitchen. Sam, wash your hands and sit down for a bit. The food will be ready soon. I sat at the table, thinking. I hadn't expected Bella to actually cook. If she had done this any other day before, I would have been thrilled. Bella quickly brought over several dishes. Though they were all fairly simple, after tasting them, I had to admit that Bella was a good cook. "Sam," she called my name, a hint of sadness in her voice. "Why haven't you talked to me for so many days? Whenever we've had a disagreement before, you'd be the first to try and make up. But this time, you didn't contact me even once for 5 whole days." I swallowed my food. "I thought you needed some time to yourself." We were silent for a moment. After a while, she carefully added, "That day I had to cook for Charlie because he missed dinner. I'll teach him how to cook soon, and I won't keep going over there." Okay, I said. I was worried she'd suddenly get angry again, thinking I didn't understand her, so I just gave a vague response and quietly continued eating. "How about this month's get-together? Why don't you come with me?" she asked. I was surprised and looked up to see the hopeful look in her eyes. Bella had taken me to her friends' gatherings before, but we both knew that what she was referring to this time was their special monthly gathering. The special part wasn't what they did, but who went. Only the members of their group, no partners or anyone outside the circle. I'd asked her to bring me along before, but at first she brushed it off. When that didn't work, she got angry with me. "Sam, are you doing this on purpose? Can't you stop being so clingy? It's suffocating me. I've told you before, this is a monthly get-together for just us friends. Why do you have to interfere with my personal space like this?" I ended up getting angry, yelling at her about how she was still taking Charlie along. She responded coldly. "Charlie grew up with me and knows all these people. He's not an outsider. Besides, he doesn't have any friends here, and I'm just trying to keep him from being lonely. You don't need to act all suspicious." I hadn't expected her to bring it up again now. However, with all the preparations for my transfer, I was extremely busy, so I politely declined. Besides, my relationship with her friends was always a bit awkward. Given the current situation, there was no need to make things worse. "Work's been really busy lately, so let's just skip it," I said. Bella put her chopsticks down hard. Her face was tired, and her voice came out as a sigh. "Sam, I know you've been upset about Charlie, and I've been trying to be understanding these past few days, but I'm exhausted too. I've done my best for you. What more do you want? You're almost 30 years old. Stop acting like a child throwing tantrums." "You misunderstood," I said calmly. "Work really is just busy right now." "Fine, whatever," she said stiffly. We finished dinner in silence, without saying another word. In the end, she took Charlie to the get-together. There was a problem with one of the projects at work that day. Even though I was about to leave, I was still involved, so I stayed late with my coworkers to fix things. During a break, I checked my phone and saw a message from Charlie. In the photo, he and Bella were smiling, both sharing a snack stick. The caption read, "Ha ha ha, these guys are too much. They're playing a joke on me and Bella. I hope Sam won't mind." I chuckled and casually replied, "No problem, I don't mind." Then I turned off my phone notifications and got back to work. When I finished up, I saw that Bella had called me several times and sent dozens of messages. It was just part of the game. I broke it off quickly. Our lips didn't touch. They were really far apart. "Can you reply to me, please?" "Sam, we decided to go eat at the new place nearby." One of my coworkers called me over. We had planned to grab dinner after finishing our work. "I'm coming," I said. As I walked out of the building, I saw Bella waiting for me outside. Was she really waiting for me here? How long had she been waiting? She looked up at me, and her eyes lit up as she walked over quickly. I asked, confused, "You guys finished already?" I remembered their get-togethers usually didn't end until late at night. "I left early," she said. It was like the world had turned upside down. I thought of her childhood friend Charlie and asked, "What about Charlie?" "I dropped him off at home." I'm going to have dinner with my coworkers. You? I couldn't bring myself to invite her along. Before I could finish, she said, "It's fine. I'll wait for you." Well, there was no way I could eat with her waiting in the car. I quickly told my coworkers I wasn't joining them and left to be alone with her. She looked at me quietly, her eyes a bit red. "You're not angry?" she asked. "Huh?" I realized what she meant. The snack game from Charlie's post. "You were just playing a game. I'm not that unreasonable," I said. Bella opened her mouth, and the sadness in her eyes was undeniable in the dim light. I couldn't help but remember a similar incident. A party where her friends teased her into drinking with Charlie and shared a photo online. At that time, I got furious, just like today. I called her more than 10 times, and eventually she blocked me. When she got home, instead of comforting me, she scolded me for overreacting, saying my mind was dirty, seeing problems everywhere. She even told me to go see a therapist. Now she looked at me and softly said, "Sam, let's go grab dinner." She quickly changed the subject. I didn't agree to have dinner with her. "There's a place nearby that serves the noodles and tofu I've been wanting. I won't make your car smell. I'll just take a cab back home afterward." "It's fine." She was almost desperate. "You can eat it in my car, I don't mind." I was taken aback. Was this really the same Bella who once was obsessed with cleanliness in her car? But I didn't feel like arguing, so I decided to just go along with it. I didn't mind eating a quick meal on the way home. She didn't head home, though. Instead, she took a detour and parked at the entrance to a food street. I was puzzled as she turned to me and said, "Sam, just wait here for a moment." Then, she got out of the car and walked into the street. I sat there alone in the car, looking at the familiar interior, my mind going back to the past. She had never let me eat in her car before. One time I was running late and ate a piece of bread in her car, spilling crumbs. She had gotten angry, parked the car, and lectured me about it. I was late for work, so I got out and took a cab to the office. That time was one of the few times I stood up for myself, and after that, she calmed down and explained her obsession with cleanliness and how much she cared about her car. I had my doubts about our relationship then, but I convinced myself that she was just that type of person. After that, I never ate in her car again, but it became a constant source of tension between us. The last straw was when she was taking me to a party, and Charlie was eating snacks in her car. I got cold and distant, all those old memories rushing back. I made a sarcastic comment in front of him. "So, you have selective car cleanliness now? Or is it just that I'm an outsider and not allowed to eat in your car?" Charlie looked confused, embarrassed, and immediately put away the snacks. Bella glared at me and snapped, "You're sick!" Then she drove off, leaving me standing there alone. When we got home, she yelled at me for hours. "Charlie has stomach issues, and he needs snacks sometimes. Why are you making such a big deal out of it? Where are your manners?" she had yelled. "Fine, I'll tell you then," she had added with a snarl. "Charlie has the privilege of eating in my car. You don't. You're just an outsider, got it?" That was the closest we ever came to breaking up. How did we make up afterward? I don't remember, but I suppose I just wasn't ready to give up on her, and that's why she could convince me to stay. The smell of noodles and tofu broke me out of my thoughts. I looked at Bella as she brought over the takeout boxes, the strong smell already escaping from the tightly sealed bags. "Eat while it's hot, fill your stomach first," she offered, handing me the food with a forced smile. "We can see what else is around, or I can cook for you when we get home." I shook my head. "No need. The noodles and tofu are enough for me." Then I leaned back in the seat, waiting for her to drive. "Is something wrong? Not hungry?" she asked with concern. I smiled faintly. "No, I'm just thinking about how it will be hard for you to drive if I eat here. I'll eat when I get home." "It's fine. We can park here," she insisted. "It'll get cold if you don't eat now." I was hungry enough to agree, so I started eating. Once I finished, I looked around for a trash can, but she had already started the car. "It's fine," she said. "Just leave the trash in the car and we'll throw it out when we get home." The drive was silent. At one point I noticed her wanting to speak, but stopping herself, so I reminded her to focus on the road. She nodded and stayed quiet. Once we reached the apartment complex, I grabbed the trash bag to dispose of it. "Sam." She stopped me, took the bag from my hand and shook it. Some of the broth spilled onto her seat, the seat she cleaned every day. I stared at her, bewildered. "What are you doing?" She looked at me with intense eyes, saying, "You can eat whatever you want in my car from now on. It doesn't matter if you spill or dirty anything. And from now on, you're the only one with that privilege. Charlie won't have it." I honestly thought she was going crazy. I stood there, stunned, and after a long pause, I simply said, "It's late. You should go rest." When lying in bed, she crawled into my arms. "Sam, let's talk properly," she said. I frowned, trying to find an excuse to push her away. At that moment, her phone rang. The screen lit up with the name Charlie displayed. She held the phone, frozen, hesitating. Seeing her conflicted expression, I couldn't help but laugh inside. "Go ahead and answer," I said. "Maybe it's urgent." She got up and answered the call. "Charlie, what's up so late?" "Your stomach's acting up again? Call emergency services. It's hard for me to come right now." "Is it unbearable?" "Okay, I'll come right away." She turned to me with an apologetic expression and said, "Charlie might have some trouble. I have to go." Afraid I wouldn't believe her, she added, "His situation might really not be good this time. I'm worried about him. You know how—" "He's your childhood friend, I understand." Bella didn't seem to realize that by saying this, she had already proven she knew that the reasons Charlie had previously given were all lies. I was very tired, yawning as I forced a smile. "It's fine, go ahead." She looked at me with a mixed expression. "I'll come back as soon as I've sorted it out." My eyelids drooped, so tired that I no longer had the energy to keep pretending. When the door closed behind her, I fell into a deep sleep. When I woke up in the morning, I got out of bed to wash up. The house still looked the way it had when she left the night before. As expected, Bella hadn't come back. I felt calm, as this was already within my expectations. Since I had the day off, I decided to make the most of my last days in the country and go shopping. While I was out, I received a call from Bella. "Sam, I'm sorry about last night." "It's fine. How's Charlie?" I asked. When I got there, his stomach pain had eased up, but—" I understand. Don't worry about it." "No, listen to me," her voice suddenly raised. "It was late last night, and I was worried Charlie might relapse, so I stayed there to keep him company. But I slept in the living room. Nothing happened. I swear. I believe you." "Sam, listen to me. I know you're disappointed in me. This morning I talked to Charlie. From now on, I'll keep my distance from him and won't interfere in everything." Her voice was urgent, but strangely filled with hope. "Charlie promised me that from now on, he won't contact me for every little thing, and he wants to apologize by taking you out to eat. He said he knows he was wrong before. He really means it, and this will be the last time. Can we have this meal with him? It's the final closure." I thought that we had to end this sooner or later, and it would be better to break up face to face. So, I agreed. All right. To my surprise, the day they scheduled the meeting was the same day I was flying out, but fortunately it was for lunch. If we finished quickly, I'd be able to catch the evening flight. Before that, I said goodbye to my colleagues and friends. They jokingly asked if I had any issues with leaving for 3 years, without my girlfriend's objections. I replied that I would be breaking up with her. They were surprised. but didn't press me further on my personal matters. In the past few days, Bella had been in a very good mood. She seemed to think that once the Charlie issue was resolved, everything would return to normal. On the day, she drove me to the restaurant she had booked. I didn't even ask where it was, but to my surprise, she had chosen a restaurant that served spicy food. She had always thought that oily, spicy food was unhealthy, and she had discouraged me from eating it too, so she did know my tastes after all. When we entered the restaurant, Charlie was already waiting there. As soon as he saw Bella, he rushed over and gave her a big hug. Bella quickly pushed him away and looked nervously at me. Charlie, grinning, said, "Bella and I have always been like this since we were kids, Sam. You've seen it before?" Bella, with a serious face, said, "Charlie, I have to tell you there's a difference between how you act with men and women. We're adults now, and this kind of behavior isn't really appropriate." Charlie shrugged. "All right, I knew you'd be on your boyfriend's side." I just smiled, not saying anything. Every time I had seen him and Bella interact too closely in the past, I'd get angry, and then we'd fight. Now, no matter how they interacted, I didn't feel the slightest bit upset. Seeing that I wasn't reacting this time, Charlie's eyes flashed with a sneer. He sat down and sincerely apologized to me. "I'm sorry, Sam. I've been too careless before. Although I know you're generous and won't mind, I'm still really sorry. From now on, I won't contact Bella anymore. I'll leave her to you." Bella still couldn't bear it, sighing. "It's not that serious. If something really happens, you can still come to me. Sam's not petty." I wasn't interested in Charlie's act. I picked up the menu and ordered a few spicy dishes, then handed the menu to them both. Charlie, surprised, said, "Sam, both of these are spicy. You like spicy food?" "Bella is so good to you. She doesn't have a good stomach and doesn't like spicy food, just like me." It's fine. She doesn't like it, I do." He probably didn't expect me to be so direct, and Charlie was momentarily speechless. These two were really the perfect pair, both with sensitive stomachs. I raised an eyebrow. Bella looked embarrassed and denied it. "I don't have a bad stomach, and I don't dislike spicy food. I just rarely eat it." "Bella, you're really too good to Sam. I envy him so much," Charlie said. He ordered some milder dishes, then tried to gain her favor. "Hey, I'm still the one who treats you the best. I'm always thinking of you when I order food." Then he smiled at me. "Sam, I don't mean anything by it. Don't overthink it. I'm just concerned about Bella." I took a sip of tea. "It's fine, I'm not overthinking." Bella's face darkened, but she still endured and said, "All right, let's just let them bring the food now." "Ah, Bella, don't you want to order? Aren't 2 non-spicy dishes too few?" Charlie asked. "It's fine, this is enough." "Well, okay then." Charlie flipped through the menu. "I'll order one more thing." He ordered a chicken cutlet. When the food arrived, the waiter told me that the drink I ordered was sold out and asked if I wanted to substitute it. I didn't mind and was about to nod when Bella suddenly stood up and said she'd go outside to the supermarket to buy it. She hurried out, leaving her phone on the table. After Bella left, Charlie gave me a smile. "Sam, there's something I couldn't say in front of Bella just now. I think you're being a bit selfish, ordering food without considering Bella's preferences. Isn't it the job of a boyfriend and girlfriend to take care of each other? I'm younger than you by a few years, and I know these things. With you acting like this, I'm really worried about leaving her with you. Don't blame me for being overbearing." I couldn't be bothered to tell him that for the past few years, I had always been the one compromising for Bella's tastes. But then, Bella came back to retrieve her phone, her face turning pale as she stood behind him. "What are you looking at behind my back? Do I have... Charlie?" Eric stood up in panic, then turned back to glare at me fiercely. "Charlie, you're overstepping. Bella's voice turned cold. "Don't forget you came here to apologize, not to make things harder for me." "Bella, you misunderstood. I just wanted to tell Sam to care for you more in the future." "I don't need you to tell him that. I'll take care of my boyfriend myself." This was a conversation that had come up countless times between me and her over the years. Now, it was playing out between her and Charlie. Charlie, who had always been placed first in her life, didn't expect this kind of response from her. He stared at Bella in disbelief for a moment, then awkwardly said, "All right, I know I've been disturbing you. I won't do it again." With that, he hurriedly left the restaurant. I nodded towards the door. "Aren't you going to chase him?" "No need," she replied. "He's a grown man, and it's broad daylight. Nothing will happen." She sat down. "Let's eat." She had forgotten she was supposed to go out and buy a drink for me. After taking a few bites, her phone rang. She picked it up and hung up. Then the phone rang again, and she hung up once more. It repeated several times. The caller was persistent, as though they absolutely needed to get through. The other customers around us started to glance at our table, some even frowning. "Answer it! What if something's wrong?" I said. "It's fine. It's always like this with him. He wouldn't call if it was anything important." "But your phone keeps ringing like this. It'll disturb other people." She hesitated, but then reluctantly answered the call. This time, the voice on the other end was loud enough for me to hear a few words. "Sorry, Bella. I didn't mean to bother you. It's just that I ran out of money on my phone and my data's all used up. I don't know how to get home. I asked a few taxi drivers, but none of them would wait for me to get my money." The voice sounded very sincere, and Bella hesitated visibly. I watched with interest. She was uneasy, but after a moment she stood up. "Sam, I promise this is the last time. I won't get involved again." She probably wanted to reassure me, so she leaned in to kiss me, but I avoided it. Seeing her wounded expression, I urged, "Go quickly, it'll be bad if something really happens." "Sam, wait for me. I'll be back as soon as I can," she said. Without waiting for my response, she fled the restaurant, almost as if escaping. I was left alone with the dishes on the table, feeling a bit regretful that I had to waste the food. At the next table, a few young people, probably college students, or just starting out in jobs, kept glancing at me, uncertain. I looked back at them with a questioning glance. One brave person finally spoke up. "Hey bro, you really shouldn't trust that. Your girlfriend." The others nodded in agreement. "Yeah, exactly." I laughed out loud, appreciating their concern. "Thanks for your kindness. I know what I need to do." When I paid the bill, the waiter asked if I wanted to take the food to go. I shook my head. I need to catch a flight in a bit. I went straight to Bella's place, to grab the luggage I had already packed. To avoid her suspicion, I told her I was just sorting out seasonal clothes and throwing out unnecessary stuff. During that time, she was busy between work and Charlie, only coming home late at night, so she hadn't noticed the changes around the house. But I wasn't lying to her. When she returned, she would find that I had taken all my personal belongings and cleared out any traces I didn't want to leave behind. I left the keys and the anniversary gift she had given me on the coffee table. I had been curious about what she had gotten me, but since we were breaking up anyway, there was no need to keep the gift. Besides, I had been too busy lately to return the favor. I looked at the now somewhat empty living room and softly said, "Goodbye, Bella." Then I closed the door. When I went downstairs, the car I called had just arrived. I felt a mix of emotions. In the end, I hadn't found the opportunity to break up with her face to face. I headed straight for the airport. While waiting for my flight, I sent Bella the breakup message and then blocked all of her and Charlie's contact details. The moment I hit block on everything, I felt a long-lost sense of relief. It was as if all the grievances I had bottled up over the years finally had an outlet, and my future suddenly felt full of hope. After waiting for almost an hour, it was finally time to board. "Sam!" I turned to see Bella running towards me, her appearance a far cry from her usual composed self. She took a moment to catch her breath, then grabbed my hand tightly, her voice trembling as she said, "I really did go back quickly without staying for long. But when I went back to the restaurant, the waiter said you already paid and left. And when I got home, I found that all your things were gone. Then I called your friends and colleagues and found out that you were flying out today." Her eyes were filled with sorrow. "Why didn't you tell me?" "If I had told you about the assignment, I actually tried to bring it up a few times before, but each time you had something else urgent going on. Urgent. To take care of Charlie." She understood, and in a panic, she said, "I won't get involved with Charlie anymore. I'll block him. I'll cut ties with him. I won't talk to him anymore. I shook my head. "You can't do that." "No, I can. He has parents and friends here too. He doesn't always need to turn to me." I smiled faintly. "So he does have friends here, huh?" Bella opened her mouth, but couldn't say anything. A few seconds passed before she spoke in a low, difficult voice. "Your birthday is in a week, I still remember. I actually wanted to apologize to you properly on your birthday, but I didn't expect you'd leave so suddenly. Since I've already decided to break up with you, there's no need to celebrate the birthday together," I said, pausing before continuing. "Besides, I haven't really celebrated my birthday in the past few years. I had mentioned wanting her to spend my birthday with me, but no need to revisit the past now. I had decided that once I was away, I would finally celebrate a birthday for myself, to make up for all these years." Upon hearing this, Bella's eyes reddened and tears started to form. "I'll do whatever you want from now on. I'll cook from now on," she started rambling. "I'll wait for you to come back. I'll wait as long as it takes." "Give me one more chance. Don't just cut me off like this," she pleaded. She pleaded with me for a long time, and the boarding announcement finally came over the intercom. I sighed. "All right." Her eyes lit up with joy. "But only if you answer one question." "Ask me," she urged. I looked at her with a bit of sadness and said softly, "If you can tell me one single holiday or anniversary we've spent together since Charlie moved to this city, then I'll agree to not break up with you." The light in her eyes faded, replaced by a growing sense of despair. She slowly released my hand, her voice breaking as she said, "You won't forgive me, will you?" "Bella, let's part ways on good terms," I said. She trembled as she took out a small box, her anniversary gift to me, the one I had left behind in the house. She begged, "At least take it, just for my sake." I gently pushed her hand away. "Bella, don't hold on to the past. Look forward. Of course, if you meet someone else in the future, don't make the same mistakes again," I added. She shook her head in despair. "There will never be someone like that again." The announcement kept urging passengers to board. I gave her a nod. "Goodbye." I turned and walked toward the gate. Behind me, Bella finally broke down in tears. I kept walking, not once looking back. From then on, everything was a new beginning.